Good morning. How are you doing today, Rob?
I'm well. I hope you are too. Quite a performance. Bounce back from your from your team on Saturday. 696-yard offense and 63-19 win at North Carolina A&T. What did you like most about the way your team played, and also the response from having your long win streak snapped?
Well, it was important that we came back and got back on the winning track this week. I think that was something that was important to us as a program. And I've got to give a lot of credit to our coaching staff. Our team was well prepared. We were ready to go. And as a result, I thought we played extremely well. We had a good plan, and our plan was to start fast. And I feel that we did that on the offensive side and then keep the pressure on them all game long. And we were able to open up a sizable halftime lead and then just add to that a little bit in the second half. There were some key things on the defensive side as well. We knew we had to keep the quarterback in the pocket. He's a very prolific scrambler and he actually did a pretty good job of that. And then we just wanted to continue to work on, our offense and the ball placement of where Frankie was putting the ball. And I thought he took a major step forward in that area as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Obviously, a monster day, 428 yards and six touchdowns, and the big play, four of them of longer than 26 yards. Just talk about his growth over the last few weeks and how you felt like, what was that biggest step that he took?
Well, I think he's becoming each and every week, he's becoming a little bit more comfortable. When he first went in, he was kind of the first game he came in about the second half, and he was kind of flying by the seat of the pants. And each game that he's played, he's become more comfortable, and there's things he's done better that he's improved upon. I think also as a coaching staff, we've kind of grown along with him. We know what things he likes. We know what things he does well. We kind of know what things we need to stay away from a little bit with him. And that's where the difference is when you're playing a different quarterback. But I was really happy for him to have the day that he had. Like I said, he was right on the money all day long, had a high percentage of completions, was able to hit some big plays. His ball placement was very good, and his decision making over the ball in terms of getting us in or out of the specific plays, I thought was very good as well.
Obviously, when you have those kind of passing numbers, somebody's on the receiving end. And on Saturday, TJ Spade with a career best day, 162 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And then a big play for Maxwell James, 71-yard catch. He over 100. Talk about the day your receiving group had.
Well, as a group, they had an outstanding day, and I think Frank was able to throw the ball to 7 or 8 different receivers on the day. As you mentioned, TJ Spate went 5 for 162. Had a very impressive. The most impressive part of that was he had roughly 150 yards after the catch, and so that's always good. He was able to find the end zone twice. Max James was 3 for 102 and had a touchdown. And Josh Derry, had only 2 catches on the day, but they both were touchdowns. They both ended up in the end zone. And then you got Trayvon Neal, Gavin Nelson also contributing with, I think, 7 additional catches for over 100 yards. So as a core, that group is working really hard. It's a very unselfish group. They just go out and they play because they never know who's going to get the ball or when they're going to get the ball, but they're all prepared to make plays when they do.
Roddy Nelson, Coach Gibbs couldn't say enough nice things about him earlier. 163 yards, 3 more touchdowns, 9 games now over 100. Leading the nation, obviously. Did you know, we've talked about him a lot, but did you know coming into the season that, he potentially could have this type? Yeah, he's closing in on 2,000 yards.
Yeah, we were hopeful that he would have this type of year. I mean, he showed and he has demonstrated to us, through spring practice and the limited time that he got a year ago that he was very explosive, that he could make the big play. And it was just an opportunity of giving him enough carries where he can demonstrate that. And I think he's done that for the most part every game this season. He's somebody that if you're a defensive coordinator or a defensive staff, you have to be aware of. You have to understand, the type of plays that he's running and where the danger comes from. But then you also have to go out and stop it on Saturday as well.
Question for you from Jake. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Coach Cal.
Hey, Jake.
I just wanted to ask, you're talking about just the development of Frankie Weaver, I guess. Does this just maybe change a little bit of the calculus, or at least just change the comfortability as you continue to monitor, Eric's injury. I mean, I guess, does it just give you a lot of confidence that now you have two guys that can really get the job done?
Well, it gives us more confidence each and every week. Frank is his performances from the first game that he went in until the last game that he's played. He's been able to get more and more confidence of the coaching staff. He's demonstrated what he can do. We also have learned as a coaching staff maybe what we should stay away from in terms of game planning. So, it's got really nothing to do with Derek's progress and how he's coming along with his rehab. It's all about Frank and what can we put in front of him in terms of a game plan to best take advantage of his skills and his talents.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Here, just talk a little bit about the defense. You only allow one touchdown on the afternoon against, as you said, some an A&T offense with some weapons over there. What did they do so well on Saturday?
Well, I think the biggest thing they did, it was a team effort, and they played hard and they communicated extremely well. And I thought, as far as running to the ball and our pursuit, was one of the best days that we've had so far this season. And it was all three levels on the back end, both Deuce Lee and Jaden Jones from the safety position. Were very active against both the run and the pass. And then our linebackers got involved with Charlie Sasso and Ryan Russo, Justin Bennon. They had great effort and great hustle all day long. And then up front, you really got to be happy with the way Hunter Watson's coming along as a redshirt freshman. He had 2 sacks on the day. Lamont Lester added another sack to his season's total. So I think on all three levels, we had outstanding play. And, it was obvious that group was highly motivated to go out and put their best foot forward.
Let's look ahead to Saturday, senior day for one, and Albany coming to Monmouth. Talk about some of the challenges, first of all, that the Great Danes present for you.
Well, as you said, it's senior day, and we want to make sure that we send these guys off, with a great effort. We want to send them off with a good taste in their mouth, and we play a team in Albany that's got very good balance in terms of running the pass. And when you look at them, you got to look beyond the record and see, they've gone into the fourth quarter in every single game with a chance to win. And, they've got some explosive personnel on the offensive side. That starts with their quarterback, number 3, who's kind of a dual threat type guy. He's a FBS transfer from Old Dominion in Buffalo. So he has FBS talent. And as I said, he's athletic and is a dual threat type quarterback. He's number 2 in attempts in terms of rushing. And then they've used a core of different running backs. I think there's been 4 different guys that have come in and play. And, we haven't played them in a couple of years. So some of them we do know, some of them we don't. But number 2, number 0, 22, 5 are all guys who can challenge you in different ways. And I think the first 2, number 2 and number 0, are their top guys in terms of rushing. And then, they use several tight ends as well. And they kind of keep you guessing on who's going to be in the game and how they're going to do things. So, as I said, they've played a lot of close games and have had chances to win. And so, we're going to have to be at our best on Saturday. And then you flip to the defensive side, and I think they're extremely talented on all 3 levels of their defense, Rob. I mean, they've got, I think, a terrific linebacker core led by, number 41, number 28. I think they're both in the top 4 in their team in tackles. And what stands out about those guys is their TFLs and the number of sacks that they have. Number 0 in the defensive line, he's the guy you got to be aware of, and he's the guy you better game plan for because he's somebody who can wreck the game all by himself. And I think he's one of their leaders in tackles and sacks and TFLs. And then on the back end, they've got a couple of different guys. Number 2 is very active in their scheme, and they get him involved in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of new faces on their team since we last played them in 23. But I think they're a very talented team. They're a very dangerous team on both sides of the ball, and it's a challenging opponent in many ways.
Before I let you go, your team obviously has been right in the mix for the playoff hunt. Do you talk about that at all with your guys, knowing what potentially is on the line with a win on Saturday?
We really don't because, how that all shakes out is really out of our hands. Where we fall in rankings and different things like that has nothing to do with what we think as a staff or what we think as a program or a team. The only thing that we can control is our effort and our play and our performance on Saturday. And that's all we try to focus on. And I've said this before on here that, our goal is to be 1-0 every week, and it'll be the same this week.
All right, Coach. Thanks so much for the time today.